All right, so it's Omnibus. It's Boris Blatnik. Boris, thanks
Howdy.
so much for your time as always. How you doing?
Great, Seth. Great to be with you again.
As always, this time, we kind of referenced it in the last one, China.
China, yeah,
Fair
definitely
amount
an
to talk
interesting
about.
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, China's been knocking on the door recently, I would say, on a few aspects. We've been getting a lot of requests in China for cosmetic products. It seems that things are opening up slowly over there in regards to having CBD inside skincare products.
So this is for the consumer over there,
The
right?
consumer, exactly. Yeah, the
Okay.
consumer has been requesting it, and it seems that there's local companies there that are fulfilling the demand, and I see this growing very, very quickly.
That's a billion people you're talking about. So it's a market, to say the least.
Yeah, it could be an interesting market for sure. Yeah,
There we
if
go.
one cracks the code there, I think you could do very well for sure.
All right, so that's on the way in. We'll talk more about that as we go, but it's interesting to note that CBD has a market, a consumer market in China. Usually
Yeah.
what we're talking about is production. Usually what we're talking about is manufacturing when we talk about
Mhm.
China, at least on, in the Western world.
Well, I can tell you quite a few interesting things in regards to that. Recently, I saw a couple companies in China who have invested. These two different companies. One invested, I think it was like $18 million in a facility. The other one around $30 million. Top of the line equipment, and they were supposed to be growing a lot of hemp because you need a lot of Chinese hemp to produce 1 kilo of CBD isolate, for example.
Dive in on that. Why is that?
Well, the allowable strains for China have such little content of CBD and THC that you basically need 1,000 times more biomass than what I do here in Switzerland to produce 1 kilo of isolate, for example.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, really. So, I mean, they definitely have the land. They definitely have, let's say, a skilled workforce who's experienced in working with hemp, but and also a cheaper labor force. But they still don't have their let's say their ducks in a row. This one company that we're talking to now, that spent $30 million in their facility. Basically grew a lot of hemp, but they didn't get a good harvest. Something went awry, and in essence, they're looking for suppliers, manufacturers that can help them fulfill the orders that they promised to be, basically handing out now.
That's amazing because you're talking about the actual makeup of the plant, because industrial hemp from China, that's been going on forever. Whenever you read about George Washington or Thomas Jefferson
Exactly.
here in the U.S., they talk about China as a manufacturer of industrial hemp. So they've been doing it forever. But
Exactly.
it does matter what's inside of the plant, Boris, it turns out.
It does. And, from time to time, things can go wrong, and then nothing's perfect in life, and yeah. So I think they're just reacting to a little bit of pain right now. I'm certain that within the next year or two, things will more or less fall in line for them. So it's a matter of time before the Chinese become a real contender.
Yeah. So
But,
it's not just today. Number one, you're saying that not only are they, do they have to do more to get less so that your hemp in Switzerland is cheaper, but you are also saying that they're not fulfilling orders.
Yeah, they're not able to quite yet. I mean, I'm not speaking to all the companies, but I know of a few that are looking around Europe to be able to fulfill orders for the US,
Now
which is mind-boggling to me.
Is that so? That's agriculturally based. How much of this has to do with what we've been talking about as far as trade between the U.S. and China?
Well, I think really that what happened with the U.S. and China in regards to CBD has to do more with the synthetic CBD than with plant-based CBD. So or hemp-based CBD, because a lot of the cheap CBD that's being sold or was being sold in the US and driving the price down dramatically over the last 6 to 12 months in the US was due to the fact that people were importing cheap synthetic CBD into the US and selling it as hemp derived CBD. And now with the new tariffs in place, it's put a little bit of a chokehold on that trade.
So this is not because of regulation. This is not because of the Farm Bill passing, you're saying.
Right.
This is because of tariffs. So this is remarkable that U.S. farmers have their hands tied as far as CBD, as far as agricultural hemp is concerned, because of regulations. However, we're importing synthetic Chinese hemp, and that's fine as far as regulators are concerned. The only shackles have been put in place are the tariffs.
Exactly.
This is an amazing world that we live in, Boris.
It is.
None of that makes sense in any way.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. Here in Switzerland, for example, where I'm based, you're allowed to legally smoke CBD, right, up to 1% THC.
Right, as we've discussed
before.
Yeah.
But if you put that same CBD flower that you buy at the kiosk or at the supermarket or whatever, and you put it into a hot cup of water, and you want to make a tea out of it, that's illegal.
Well,
so it's illegal to consume it as a tea, right, but it's okay to smoke it.
Well, this is the food. Why am I blanking on the
novel food?
What's that? Novel
food.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That's part of novel food.
And it's the same thing, and it's the same. You can do the same thing to it, but if you ingest it one way or ingest it the other way, all bets are off.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, listen, this is why people like you and me are talking about this, because obviously everything still isn't worked out just yet. That's why we have these conversations. So there you have China. Any other notes there? I mean, that is plenty. We've got a consumer market that is building. We've got a production market that is in upheaval, so to speak, for agricultural reasons, for tariff reasons, and for other reasons.
Yeah, and then, you have the whole situation between Hong Kong and China right now, which is obviously a hot topic.
Right.
So CBD products are okay to take into Hong Kong. People are trying to smuggle those into mainland China. Then you have the mainland Chinese wanting to purchase skincare products, because those seem to be legal. Those that are consumable are not, but the ones that you put on your skin are okay. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think those moving parts is more or less the same everywhere. There's a lot of shifting sands. We kind of have to be ducking and weaving all the time here as well. Things you just have to go with the flow.
The go with the flow. That's it. And if
try to survive.
That's it. There's many things to take away from here, but at least one of them is, in China, topicals are topical. So anyway, Boris, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I can't wait for the next time. I think we lined up Australia.
That's right. Next time, Australia.
Always almost happening for the better part of a decade.
That's right.
We'll talk to you in a bit.
Perfect.